Well, Dr. Nachi Sinha is back with us here. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well, Toby. Thank you so much for having me back again.
Yeah.
I hope your audience isn't going through the PTSD. But
Well, this third chapter in the book, Empowered and Strong, Navigating Safely Through the Storms of Life, is called Cracked Glass Repairs.
Right.
And it's interesting because it's another one of these friends you've got, isn't it, really, who, when they fix a cracked bit of glass, there's still a mark there, a bit like in a relationship.
Right. And you see, and this was, so just a bit about I'll just kind of give you the background about the book. So when I was writing the book, right, I mean, the publisher wanted each chapter to be a book on its own. And my whole idea was to keep simplifying it. So the most difficult one to simplify was actually, if I remember correctly, this chapter, because the idea was to give us absolute freedom about how I want a particular relationship to be in my life, regardless of how everybody else sees it. So the idea was that, in a relationship, whichever it is between, father, son, mother, son, whatever kind of relationship it is, lovers or whatever it is. So there are certain things that could happen. And when they do happen, then they always leave a mark, like on cracked glass. No matter what you do, you see the mark. Now, that's one part of the story, kind of getting into it. But the interesting thing becomes, though, is what if I, value that relationship so much that I feel that it's still significant for me. Then knowing that it's okay, to be able to sort of carve out an uncracked part of that cracked glass or mirror or whatever it might be for that matter. And so it kind of gives the freedom of knowing that if something is bad for me, then yes, it will leave marks, we can see it, but I still get to decide if I want to keep it or not.
And I suppose even if a mark is still there, it doesn't mean that the relationship is ruined forever, right?
Yes, that's an excellent point. No, you're right. I mean, it doesn't mean that, right? Because it's a lot of what we do and how we feel about certain things is a result of how society tunes us to feel, right? So what I feel is already a bias that's set in based on everything that I've heard. So based on that, my interaction with somebody, which is a relationship of some sort, leads to, let's say, some unpleasant experience, good or bad, big or small. It could be any kind, right? But I get to decide that. And at the end of the day, I might say, you know what, this is it. I'll give you an example. For example, I'm talking to you right now, and when you ask me a question and I say something really nasty to you, for argument's sake, I wouldn't do that, but let's say I did. So that leaves a mark on the glass, right? Now, despite that, you say, hey, Nachi, we'll see you next week, man. And then someone says, whoa, why would you have him next week when he was like that to you? Then you're going to go, well, no, that's a different thing altogether. But, that one factor we'll take care of later on. But I still want that to continue. So the choice is that you still get to make the choice as long as you know that there is a mark on the glass.
And sometimes can that mark not even be there? Maybe it's cracked because there's a period between the crack and the mark, isn't there?
Yeah.
So how do you fix that?
And that's where it's important to sort of get in the complete idea of understanding what's really going on. And that's an important component of taking a step back again and looking at the whole entire picture of any situation and giving it a good understanding. And then again, making your mind up, keeping everything in perspective. Perspective is important. I mean, as you can tell, I mean, there is no right or wrong or good and bad in the way that, the book is trying to talk about stuff, even though society is exactly that, about that, isn't it? It's either good or bad or right or wrong. Whereas what you and I are talking about right now is that those boundaries are blurred.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that chapter is Cracked Glass Repairs, and it's part of Dr. Nachi Sinha's book, Empowered and Strong, Navigating Safely Through the Storms of Life. And we'll have you on again next week to talk about the next chapter, Break, Not Accelerate. So thanks for joining us again today.
Thank you.